We live in a time where information is everywhere. You can learn anything: philosophy, psychology, self-improvement, emotional control. You can watch videos, read books, listen to experts. And yet, there is one problem that almost everyone eventually faces. No matter how much you understand something logically, your emotions don't follow. You know that sadness will pass, but it still hurts. You know that anger is pointless, but it still consumes you. You know that jealousy is irrational, but it still appears, and at some point, you begin to question yourself. If my thoughts and emotions are always in conflict, then which one is the real me? This is not a new problem. This is not a modern problem. This is a human problem, and it has existed for thousands of years. Over 2,600 years ago, there was a man who faced this exact question. Not casually, not intellectually, but completely. That man was the Buddha. He was born into wealth. He had status, family, comfort, and yet, at the age of 29, he walked away from everything. Not because he lacked something, but because he saw something. He saw suffering, and more importantly, he saw that suffering comes from the mind. So he dedicated his entire life to understanding one thing: how can the human mind be free from suffering? He tried everything: extreme discipline, severe hardship, complete detachment, but none of it worked until one moment. He sat under a tree and made a decision. I will not move until I understand this. And eventually, he awakened. Now, here's the important part. What he discovered was not just an idea, it was a method, a process, a training. And this is where most people misunderstand everything. Understanding something is not the same as mastering it. Let's make this simple. Imagine watching a professional athlete, a boxer explaining how to throw a powerful punch, a golfer explaining the perfect swing, a martial artist demonstrating technique. You watch it, you understand it, you think, that makes sense. But can you do it immediately, perfectly? Because understanding is not mastery. Mastery comes from repetition, training, failure, adjustment, over and over again. This is what the Buddha taught. Not just understand your emotions, but train your mind. There is a word for this: Sika. It means training, practice, discipline. And this is the part people avoid, because we live in a world that promises speed. 3 steps to happiness. Control your emotions instantly. Change your life in days. But the truth is, anything meaningful takes time, especially your mind. Your body can be trained. Your skills can be developed. But your mind is the hardest thing to master. And yet, most people spend their entire lives training everything except their mind. Think about it. How many years did you spend studying? How much time did you invest in your career? How much effort did you put into learning how to survive? But how much time have you spent learning how to handle your own emotions? Very little. That's why it feels overwhelming. That's why it feels impossible, because you are trying to solve a deeply complex problem with no training. And when it doesn't work, you assume this must be impossible. But it's not impossible. It's just difficult. Very difficult. let's go deeper. Emotions are not the problem. Sadness is not the problem. Anger is not the problem. Jealousy is not the problem. These are natural. They are part of being human. The real problem is this: holding on to them, letting them stay, letting them grow, letting them take control. Because once an emotion takes root, it expands, it becomes stronger, louder, more overwhelming, and eventually, it defines your behavior. But here's something important. Every emotion begins small, very small, like a spark. And if you can catch it early, you can control it. But if you wait, it becomes a fire, and then it's much harder to stop. This is what training is for. Not to eliminate emotions, but to recognize them early, to see them before they grow. And that requires practice, repeated practice. There is no shortcut. Let me give you a simple truth. If you want to master anything, you must not quit. In martial arts, students often ask, "How do I become a black belt?" And the answer is always the same. Don't quit until you become one. That's it. There is no secret technique, no hidden trick, just consistency. The same applies here. If you want to overcome sadness, don't quit until you do. If you want to master your anger, don't quit until you can. If you want to understand your mind, don't quit. Because the moment you quit, that becomes your limit. And here's something else. Not everyone improves at the same speed. Some people learn quickly, some people take years, but that doesn't matter. What matters is whether you continue, because eventually, progress comes. This is not theory, this is reality. Thousands of people have done this for over 2,600 years, and that is why these teachings still exist today. If they didn't work, they would have disappeared long ago. So if you feel like you can't control your emotions, don't give up. Don't assume it's impossible. Instead, change your approach. Stop trying to fix yourself instantly. Start training. Observe your emotions again and again. Feel them, but don't hold on to them. Let them pass. You will fail many times. That's part of the process. But each time, you learn. Each time, you improve. And slowly, something changes. Your reactions become smaller. Your awareness becomes sharper. Your mind becomes quieter. And one day, you realize you are no longer controlled by your emotions. You still feel them, but they don't control you. That is what it means to become a master of your mind. And yes, it is difficult, but it is also one of the most valuable things you can ever pursue, because this mind is something you will carry for your entire life. So the question is not, can I do this quickly? The real question is, am I willing to train? Because if you are, then change is possible, not instantly, but inevitably. So don't give up. Don't rush. Just keep going. And over time, you will become someone who is no longer controlled by emotions, but someone who understands them.